ACCA Performance Management webinar, and I'm your instructor, Rizwan Mania here. So, okay. First of all, before we proceed, a quick confirmation about three things. Can you all hear my voice? Secondly, is the screen visible to all of you? And third, can you see the video? Yes, please. Can you all confirm me about these three things? Okay, so it's all fine. You can see me, you can see the video, and the sound is clear as well. Okay, let's wait a minute or so that others can join, and then we'll start and they do not miss anything. Okay, so just a minute pause, and after that we'll start. Okay, so it's just 1 minute pause so that others quickly join the session and we can start then. Okay, now let's begin. So, welcome to day 2 of ACCA Performance Management webinar, and this is your instructor, Rizwan Mania. I hope yesterday's session went really fruitful for you, and the techniques that we discussed yesterday were really, easy in terms of understanding, and the techniques and the $1,000,000 points. So whatever I covered yesterday, I hope you have understood those very, very well. And I tried my best to make things easier for you, which I think I have to a greater extent. So yes, your quick feedback would be really good. So how was your yesterday's session? Are you feeling more confident about it now? Okay. Right. So I've also shared with you the handouts of yesterday on the respective WhatsApp group. And those who are new today, so I'll just tell them again about the plan. So you must have seen that on the WhatsApp group. I also shared the $1,000,000 plan as well. So please just do watch that, and it's a 3-hour video. So you have to watch that video complete. Okay. Let's begin with day 2. The first thing is how to remain connected after the webinar. So this is my number. Now, those who are new today, and for them it's the first day, so please just quickly send me the WhatsApp number. Yesterday I did included everybody in the WhatsApp group, So I will also do today. Those who are newcomers, so they need to stay connected with me till the exam, especially at least. And for that, you have to make sure that you people are part of my WhatsApp group. Okay. During the webinar, you have to remain connected. So there is a chat box. People were really confused. Where is the chat box? So you can see a very easy thing in your GoToMeeting application. And there is a question sort of a thing, question mark sort of a thing, and that's the chat box. So you can, no, not the question mark. There's some kind of a box given there. That's the chat box. So use that chat box, which will definitely be useful for you. Okay. Plus, the admin will share the WhatsApp group link as well. So those who want to join through the link, they can join through the link. A quick recap: day one was about budgets. Day two is about variances. Today, it's all variances that we will be covering. I'll make sure I'll try my best to make it really easy for you, the variances part. Tomorrow is performance measurement, not decision making. It's a small error. Performance measurement, and then decision making will be fourth day, and then we'll be going towards advanced costing technique with new syllabus changes as well. I did share the 2 weeks plan. So the first thing is you have to attend the webinars. All 5 days are very much important. Then I will share each day $1 million plan. I did share the $1 million plan today in through the WhatsApp group. So please do watch that. So this will give you further clarity in the topic of budgets. So make sure you follow my $1 million plan side by side, so your coverage will, itself will be more and more. Grand revision I will conduct. I'll tell you the date of that. Other than these 5 days webinar, it's a very good revision. So you all are invited in that. You have to read certain chapters that I will share with you the last day of the webinar. So remain connected. There is a mock package that you may join. That's a paid package if you want to. So you can contact me and we'll share the details in the WhatsApp group as well for that. Okay. Mock is important for your examination to gain the confidence. Today's agenda is about variances. I'm starting first with planning and operational variances, and then we'll move towards material mix and yield, and then obviously the questions will be there. As you know my strategy, uh, in the end we'll have a question and answer session. Session breaks, I've changed the plan today, so I'll give you a break at 8 p.m. Pakistan time for 5 minutes, and then 9 p.m. Pakistan time for 5 minutes. So I'll give you two breaks. Okay. uh, with the variances I start. So I first will start with the analysis. As you all know that I always share my analysis, how much the variance has been tested. So since 2007 the variance journey is very common, and almost every attempt you see a question on variances, because there are three subdivisions of this section. You may know about it, I'm sure. You have mix and yield variances, you have sales mix and quantity variances, and you have planning and operational variances, right? So you can see the attempts with the question names, and it's not yet finished. So let's move on to the next slide. Again, you can see questions, and lately it was also tested in that hybrid attempt of March June 2021, where sales, planning and operational was tested in the paper. So to tell you the analysis here, this has been tested 19 times. You can see it's tested 19 times, and considering 19 times, which means that if you just look at the breakup, so you will see here that planning operational has been tested the most. Okay, so again, it seems that this is one of the most favorite areas of the examiner, and that's why I will first start with planning and operational, and I will use very good techniques to make it really easy for you people. So those who will follow, those who will be with me, they will learn new techniques. Maybe you have done a past paper of that earlier, but it's about the new method and the technique and how I'm making things easier for you that really matters. Okay, so planning operation has been tested most, and the second tested area is mix and yield variance, which is 28%. So that's why I have targeted these two for the today's session, because these are the most tested topics of variances in your examination. So after this quick analysis, which is making things really evident and clear that, okay, these are the most tested areas, it's now time to start with planning on operational. First of all, what I will do here is that I will set up a basis. I'll give you a clarity as to the concept of planning and operational. Once you will understand the concept, then it will be really easy for you to follow my methodology, and it will be really easy for you to follow my methodology. Okay, so if I start with planning and operational, first of all, so I want to I always give this concept, and those because we have a big number of students who are giving paper for the first time, this means it is very important for all of you to make sure that your basic concepts are good. So I'll take few minutes to just give you a quick understanding of the basic concept, and then from that I'll take you towards the question. Okay, so please remain connected and do listen to me very carefully. Now, first of all, is a very simple thing, and that is you must know that uh, when you make your standard, obviously, when you are yeah when you are establishing the standard, so that's basically the start of your year. Okay, it's basically the start of the year where you establish your standards. Okay, so at the start of the year, you basically establish your standards, like for material, for labor, for overheads. So it's the start of the year where you make the standard. Now, once there's a planning team, let's assume there's a planning team, and that team basically uh, makes the standards, establishes the standards, and then the standards for material, labor, and sales are communicated to the other team, that is known as operational team. Okay, that is known as operational team. Operational team basically includes number one, I would say, your purchase manager. It includes production manager. Okay, it includes sales manager. Please just concentrate, everyone. Okay, those who are giving paper for the first time, and this topic, they know the topic, but they need further clarity. They need to make topic much and much easier for themselves, so please just concentrate. Okay, so as I was saying here, that operational team includes purchase manager, production manager, sales manager. So these are the people who are basically involved in the operations. Purchase manager is doing purchases, or production manager is basically looking after the production, labor, usage, and all, and sales manager obviously is dealing with the sales stuff. So at the start of the year, there is a planning team which is involved in setting the standards. And what they do, they communicate the standards, the targets to the operational team, so that operational team must follow the standards and try to keep actual things within the standard, right? So when's the year will end? So when the year will end, obviously you will receive the actual results. And once you receive the actual result, so you all know that is the point where you start comparing standard with actual. Okay, this is where you start comparing standard with actual, and that is known as variance, right? So it's the basic concept that variance is basically a difference between standard and the actual result. Okay, for this variance, then what you do, if it is adverse or favorable, so based on that you judge the performance of the manager. Now let's consider an extreme situation, and that is the variance is adverse, let's suppose. So if it is adverse, so you may call your purchase manager or the production manager and the sales manager, and you start blaming them for the adverse variances, and maybe their bonuses are also attached on the basis of those very favorable results. So you will not give them the bonus and you start blaming them that this is what you have done wrong and blah 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 blah. uh, so after all these investigation, it was found that they really did well, for example, and it was not because of their bad performances or decisions the variance came adverse. So after further investigation, it was revealed that it was the error of the standard, which means the standard that was established at the start of the year by the planning team was not realistic. So that standard that was established at the start of the year by the planning team was not realistic. So the variance were not realistic, not correct standards, were inaccurate standards. Now, you tell me, if you as manager, you feel standards on the assessed are not realistic standards. So obviously you will get demotivated. Or this will be something your right. So now you hear appropriate, it will not correct at all to judgments of the purchase or sales. It will not be affiliate to judge a person and his benefit. Means it's clear, which means that you cannot judge the performance on the basis of this variance. Okay, fair enough. So what to do then? What to do then? So then what we do is we break this variance, the variance that we have just found, we break this variance into two components, and one is the planning variance and second is the operational variance. So the variance that you have, the variance that you just saw here, the variance that you worked out by the difference of actual and the standard, the original standard. So I'm giving this a name here, and that's the original standard. Which means the standard that was established at the start of the year. Okay, so the variance that you worked out using the original standard and the actual result, basically this variance will be split it into two parts. You will break this variance into two parts, and first will be the planning variance and second will be the operational variance. Okay, so the reason for breaking this variance is to separate the element of planning error so that we do not judge the performance of the operational team based on this planning error. Okay, and so that we restrict ourselves to just the operational variance, which will really indicate the real performance of this operational team. Are you all with me, everyone? Right? So you can see here what is the point for doing this is that to see to judge the real performance of the operational team. So this is the basic idea and concept behind calculating planning and operational variance, is to make sure that you remove the planning error from the current variance so that you are just left with the operational variance, and that operational variance is a one that will reflect the real performance, genuine performance of the operational team, on the basis of which you will assess the performance of these people, either purchase manager, production manager, or the sales manager. Okay. So my friends, I hope you are getting the concept, and this is the basic idea of calculating planning and operational, and you are wise enough to understand that you will never accept your performance assessment on those things which are outside your control, which means the planning errors which were not part of your control, you will never accept to check your performance on the basis of that. So I hope the basic idea is clear to all of you. A quick yes will be really good one, just to check how much attentive you people are. Everyone, are you with me? And is the basic concept clear to all of you? There are so many students in hundreds, and I'm just getting replies around 30 to 40. That's it. Yeah, that's great. Everybody need to be really responsive. Everybody needs to be really, really responsive. Okay. Sir, can you share the WhatsApp link? Edwin, please, can you share the WhatsApp link? And if you still cannot join, so you just send me a quick WhatsApp message at my number, and then I'll add you. Okay. Now, after this basic idea, that what we just received right now, that planning errors basically should not be used in assessing the performance of the operational team, because it was not part of their performance. So that is why we will break the variance into two parts. One will be planning and second will be operational. Now, before I start with that, because I'm starting with a question now, and the question is in front of me. But before I start, I want you people to note down a very good $1 million technique. Okay, a very good $1 million technique. I want you people to note it down before I start solving a question. That will really help you. Now, remember, whenever you are solving a planning operational question, and talking about the CRQ, yeah, right now mainly, if you're solving a CRQ question, so what is important for you? When you are reading the question, you have to just do one very important thing that I'm telling you. First of all, just find the when you're reading the scenario, okay? When you're reading the scenario, just find the original standard first, okay? The original standard. Now, what is a original standard? Uh, the one that they have established at the start of the year, okay? So this is the first thing, remember, find out the original standard. Secondly, what you have to do is, while you're reading the question, you try to find out uncontrollable factors. I repeat, you try to find out uncontrollable factors. Now, for whom? The question is for whom? Uncontrollable factors for operational management. Okay. So, from the perspective of operational management, find out uncontrollable factors, right? So, what you need to do is, when you're reading a question, you have to find out the uncontrollable factors for the purchase manager, production manager, and sales manager. Third, and the last thing, once you find the uncontrollable aspect, once you find the uncontrollable factor, okay, once you found the uncontrollable factor, the next thing is, you will revise the standards, you will revise the standard for these uncontrollable factors. Okay, you will revise the original standard for these uncontrollable factors. Are you all getting my point? It's $1 million tip that I've given you people. Number one, quickly, let's look at the points again. First, just look at the original standard. What is the original standard? Second, find out uncontrollable factors for the operational managers. And once you found out that, quickly revise the original standard. So revise means change the original standard uh, for these uncontrollable factors. Okay, and you know why I'm doing? Because these are not in the control of the operational team. So it's really important to revise the standard for factors which they do not control. So after this quick $1 million technique, these things to remember: original standard, uncontrollable factors, revise the standard. Original standard, uncontrollable factor, and revise the standard. Will you be able to remember this, guys? Yes, you will be, right? So original standard, uncontrollable factors, and revise the standard. So it's OUR. Wow. And a very good mnemonic is our. Our. I'm sure now you cannot forget this. Okay. Original standard, uncontrollable factors, revise the standard. So the mnemonic for this is R. So you have to remember R whenever you are reading the question of planning and operational in the examination. So just quickly write what you need to remember. What you guys need to remember. You are not replying me. Okay, so you need to remember our, right? So here The question is in front of you, and we are starting reading the question. So you have to figure out OUR, right? Are you ready, guys? Say yes, we are ready. Okay. Right, my friends. Let's begin and let's learn a very good technique. Do you want do you want me to make variances easier for you? Say yes or no. Come on. Do you want to make variances easier for you in terms of calculation, in terms of theory? Whatever you say, I'll do it. You want to make it easier for you? Definitely yes. That's great. Definitely yes. And you want to make it very easy as well. Okay. So let's now begin. Let's concentrate. Be with me, and I'll make your life easier, inshallah, in variances right now. So remember, R. Let's begin. Okay, the School Uniform Company manufactures school uniforms. One of its largest contracts is with Girls Private School Trust, which has 35 schools across the country, all with the same school uniform. After a recent review of uniform after the recent review of the uniform at uh, Girls Private School Trust, the school spring summer dress has been redesigned. Okay, to incorporate a drop waist style. Okay, redesigned. Each new dress now requires 2.2 meters of material, which is 10% more, okay, than previous style of dress required. Okay. Now here, as I told you, our right. So first is you need to try to find out the original standard. Okay, original standard. Now, from by reading this information, what is clear? The clarity that I'm getting here through this question is it says now each dress requires 2.2 meter, which is 10% more material than previously style of dress required. So by this, I'm getting one very good clarity here. Is that because my task is to figure out the original standard and the revised standard, obviously both. Okay. So first of all, it says that okay. Now first of all, it says that the new dress now requires 2.2, okay, which is very much clear, which is making things very clear that the new dress usage is 2.2. So is this a revised one? Yes, it's a revised one. Okay, it's a revised not kgs, I beg your pardon. Yeah, it's revised meters. Now, it says this is 10% more than the previous style of dress required. Okay. So, what is the original one? Can you work out? It's very simple. If 2.2 is 10% more than the original one, this means this 2.2 is basically 110% because it's 10% more than the original, right? So this means original is 100% plus 10% more, so that's 110%, which means this 2.2 is 110%. Are you with me, everyone? Yes or no? Okay. So let me just open my own calculator as well. Okay. Now, so if this is 2.2, I'll divide this with 110 to find out the answer, and that's 2, which means the original kg, sorry, not kg, the original meters are, oh, again, I'm again writing kgs here. Okay. The original meters are 2, right? Clear? The original meters are 2. Okay. Now this is the original one and the revised is 2.2. That's quite obvious. Perfect. I hope this should be perfect. No issues. However, new material has also been chosen by the Girls Private School Trust, which cost only 2.85 per meter, which is 5% cheaper than the material used on previous dresses. Okay, so the quality of the material has also been considered by the school, your customer, and now the material that they have chosen is 2.85. Okay, 2.85 is what they've chosen right now, the material cost. So it's a revised cost for you people, yes or no? Obviously, it's a revised cost for you people. So it's 2.85, the revision of the standard, as you can see. And what is the original one? So it says that this 2.85 is 5% less than the previous one. So now this 2.85% is what? Because it's 5% less. So this 2.85 is 95%, right? Because it's less than the original one. So original is 100, assuming original to be 100. So this is 95. So divide by 95 into 100 if I do. So let me see what answer I'm getting here. 2.95 divided by, I beg your pardon, 2.85 divided by 0.95 gives me exactly an answer of 3 per meter. Okay. So here the answers are for you people. We have worked out all the things that are important in this case, and it's 3 per meter, the answer that I've just worked out in front of you people. So yeah, that's great. We are done with these important workings, and in your marking scheme, let me tell you, you are getting marks for calculating these stuff. I'll tell you the marking scheme at the end. Okay, so for these calculations of original standard, you are getting separate marks, and that is what I say, easy marks. So original standard is done, revised standard is also done. So that's it. Now I think it's time to move forward and do the workings and the calculations. So now what to do here? The material standard is clear. In February, the total amount of material used and purchased at this price. This is very clear. Now, which price they are talking about? The price that they actually have written here. Okay. So they did bought and use the material for 2.85, and this was 54560. Okay. Clear? Right. The design of the new dresses has meant that, okay, one thing I really wanted to ask you here, which I didn't actually, were these two things outside the control of the production manager? Okay, see the production manager. Now, Girls Private School Trust is your customer. Your customer reviewed the uniform, okay, reviewed the uniform, and they wanted a redesign of that, right? Such a redesign required the meters to increase. Now tell me, and you judge by yourself, is this revision of the uniform style is under the control of the production manager? If you are the production manager there, just place yourself. So tell me, is this under your control? I need quick answers from you people. Is the uniform redesign under your control? Say yes or no. No. So everybody is saying no, it's not in your control. And that is why we need revised standard that we have worked out here, or the one that was given here. So because things were not in your hand, so this means a revision of the standard was definitely required. So for uncontrollable factors, revision is required. Okay. Perfect. Secondly, because it's the school who chose the uniform quality and material, so that's why the rate also went down. The rate also went down. So now you tell me, was that your decision as a production manager, or was that their decision to choose the fabric? Okay, so it was very clearly written that they were the people who chose the fabric, which means this was outside your control. Yes or no? So if it's outside your control, if it's outside your control, you need to revise the standard again, which means the original standard for kg will also be revised here with 2.2, and the rate per meter will also be revised. That will be 2.85. I hope this is very much clear to all of you. So URO is what? For original standard, find out uncontrollable factors, find out and revise the standard. Done? Perfect. Let's move on. The design of the new dresses has meant that a complicated new sewing technique needed to be used. Consequently, all staff required training before they could begin production. Okay, so because of the new design, there will be change in production technique and staff required training for that. The manager of the sewing department expected each new dress to take 10 minutes now as compared to 8 minutes before. So again, first of all, you tell me which is the original minutes here, 8 minutes or 10 minutes. So it's very clear. The new dress time is 10 minutes and the original is 8 minutes. Okay. So again, I need to find out the original here for the labor. So for labor, it's clear. The original is 8 minutes. 8 divided by 60 to convert this into hours. Okay. So that's 8 minutes. Okay. Now, is this in your control as a production manager? Is this in your control as a production manager? Obviously not, because it was the change in the design that resulted in change in the technique of production, and you as a manager has nothing to do with this. It was not your decision to change the design, which means if this was not your decision to change the design, so for this you need to revise the standard, and the revision is 10 minutes divided by 60, because I want to convert this into hours. So that's 10 divided by 60. Understood? URO, I beg your pardon. We have applied R here. Okay? Happy? Great. Uh, Perfect. Now, school uniform company has 24 staff each. These words each are really important. Okay? We quickly miss out these words. Of whom works for 160 hours per month and is paid a wage of 12 per hour. All staff worked all of their contracted hours in February on production, and there was no idle time. No labor rate variance arose in February as well. Okay, so there is no issue as far as the rate is concerned. Rate is all okay, no labor rate variance. Rate is 12 and that remained the same, so no change in the rate, which means as per the standard cost card, it's 12 per hour rate for the original standard, as well as for revise, it's 12 per hour. So 12 per hour remains the same. Okay, perfect. Right. Now, activity levels given production and budgeted production and sales, actual production and sales. It says the production manager at the company is responsible for all purchasing and production issues which occur. Operational manager. Okay. School uniform company uses standard costing, and usually every time a design changes takes place, the cost card is updated. Okay. If there is a change in the design, so cost card is updated prior to production commencing. Okay. However, but what happened this time? The company's accountant responsible for updating the standard has been off sick for the last 2 months. Consequently, the standard cost card for the new dress has not yet been updated, which means these are outdated standards. The original standards are outdated standards in this case. That is why revision was required, and that is why we have done the revision on the basis of our OUR. Done. Perfect. Understood? While reading what you have to do, and on a personal note, if I tell you, if you are able to do This, while reading the question, for me, 50% work has been done. 50% work has been done, because after this, I'll make things really easy for you. Requirement says calculate material variances in as much detail as information allows for the month of February for 7 marks. Okay, I'll tell you the marking scheme here. Calculate the labor efficiency variances in as much detail as information allows for the month of February for 5 marks. 12 marks for calculation. Assess examinable verb. You know, yesterday I covered theory in a very easy way. Assess, what to assess? Performance of the production manager for the month of Feb for 8 marks. Right? So it's a CRQ, constructive response question. And I think now we must move on towards this, because we have the cost card here as well. So it's just time to work out the answers. Because it's a CRQ, so I must use Microsoft Excel here, or your examination platform. So let me just quickly open up your examination platform for this purpose. I'll use one separate one Excel sheet, uh, a general sheet, I would say. I'll just hide the question here. Oh, sorry. I should just go to the right. Okay, so, oh man, done the scrolling work. Okay. I'll just use a spreadsheet here. So you just focus on the spreadsheet and not on the question which is given here. So I'll do my calculations on a spreadsheet, and the purpose of doing is to show you the presentation, how this should be done in the paper, and then we'll definitely help you out later on about the things for calculations and others. So let's begin with the calculation stuff. Everybody be with me. It's very interesting. Now, I'll make this easier through my own methods, through my own shortcuts, and let's see what the shortcuts are. So are you ready to learn the shortcuts? Say yes or no. Are you all awake? You must be. Okay. Now, first of all, material price. Okay. Material price and material usage. So in the question that we are just solving, you just saw that there was a revision in the price as well here. Okay. And there was a revision in the usage as well, right? So price and usage both have changed here. Now, what I want you people to understand here is a very simple thing. Though I have the formulas here, though I have the formulas here, but I want to make it easier for you. And how will I make it easier? So listen, material price planning variance. Okay. Material price planning variance is something that you have to keep in your mind. And how do you work out material price planning variance? So it's a very simple thing. Planning is basically fight of two standards. Remember what I'm saying. Planning is basically fight between two standards. Okay. And what are the standards? Original standard and the revised standard. It's a fight of original and revised standards. So you can see here, original standard price, revised standard price. Okay. And if I just take out these two words outside, so I can say O versus R. Simple. O versus R. Okay. So remember the things that I'm telling you here and repeat with me. Everybody, those who are listening to me, repeat with me in your own heart. Planning is a fight between two standards. And what are those two standards? In a question, there will be just two standards: original standard and the revised standard. So planning here is original minus revised into actual quantity. Okay. What's the operational one? Now, operational, the word operational is basically easily linked with the operational team, the purchase manager, the production manager, and the sales manager, right? So for operational team, you need to have operational variances, which I just showed you earlier, that this will result in the real performance, right? So for operational variance, what is important? That is, you need actual. Obviously, you need actual. Actual is always very much important. But you will compare this actual with the realistic standard, and the realistic standard is revised. Now, if you are the manager, you want your performance to be assessed on the basis of revised standard, right? So, yes. So, this means if I take out the word R and A, so this makes R versus A. That's it. Simple. I made it simple. You just keep this in your mind that price planning price is O versus R, original versus revised, original price versus revised price, okay? And operational price is basically R versus A, that is revised price and actual price. In both the cases, we multiply using actual quantity as you just saw here. Understood, guys? Okay. Sir, will this work for usage as well? Let's have a look here. Let's move towards usage. If you look in the formula, it says planning usage variance. Basically, it's what? Original standard quantity allowed. I'm using here, okay? Original standard quantity allowed minus revised standard quantity allowed. If I take out the two words, again it is O versus R. Wow. Because it's usage. So here the fight is between two standards, original standard for quantity and revised standard for quantity. Because you know, usage is something that relates to quantity, whereas price is something that relates to the dollars and the price. So it's O versus R again. When it comes to operational usage, sir, is the situation remains the same? Yes, let's have a look. Revised standard quantity allowed because operational team needs to have a realistic standard compared with actual quantity. So it's R versus A. Are you all understanding what I am explaining you here? And this is a very easy technique. So it's revised standard quantity allowed minus actual quantity. And in both the cases, you have to use the original price per kg, original standard price per kg. Original standard price per kg. So I hope this is clear to all of you guys. So if you just see here, the common stuff is for planning, what you need to keep in your mind. Come on, can you quickly tell me? Just write down here. Everybody just write down here to make sure that you can learn the things as well. Come on, be fast, man. So for planning, it's what? Just three answers up still now. For planning, it's what? O versus R, right? It's O versus R, right? And for operational, what you need to remember? It's R versus A. Revise versus original. Sorry, revise versus actual. Got it? Got it. So now if you are very much clear here, what exactly things are in your mind, now I'll make it this very easy for you. Because what excellent work I've done is that I know the original standards and the revised standard. So assuming you are solving this on a spreadsheet, so what I can do for material here is in examination, as I already mentioned, you will quickly write the original standard and the revised standard. So I will deliberately write here, and this is what you're going to do in the paper as well. I just showed you because you are getting marks for this working as well. Okay, so revised was 2.2. Okay, this was meters, and the rate was 2.85. I'm not okay, and you have to show the workings because you are getting marks for that. So how will you show the working? Is equals to 2.2 divided by 110. I beg your pardon, divided by 110 multiplied by 100. So the answer is 2. You are getting marks for that. I'm again telling you. Okay, if you will not show this working, you will lose the marks, and these are easy marks to cash. Again, for this one, This is the figure. I already showed you the working before, 0.95. Sorry, I beg your pardon. Again, divide by 0.95. Okay. And multiplied by 100. So you are getting a figure of how much? Let's finish the decimals. Sorry. Yeah, it's 2.95. No, it's not 2.95. I need to check my figure. I think it's 2.85. Yeah, 2.85, right? That's why I'm not getting the right figure here. So I just change this to make it 2.85. So it's 3. Got it, everyone? Understood? So you have to show the workings because you are getting marks for that, right? Done. I'll show you the marking scheme later on. Once you have this in front of you, then it's a peanut work. It's a peanut work. Okay, let me tell you how. First, what I'm supposed to work out. So it says calculate material variances in as much detail as information allows. This is an indication. In as much detail. The word in as much detail is an indication that you have to bifurcate or you have to work out planning and operational here. Okay. So first of all, let's plan myself. I'll work out planning price. Okay. Let's write it down things. Then I'll work out operational price. Okay. Be with me, everyone, please. Then after this, I'll work out planning usage. If there is a need, I don't know. And then I'll work out operational usage. Okay. Right. Now, for the first part, this is what I'm supposed to do. So be with me. Let's see how exactly we're going to handle this and how we're going to work out the figures. So first I'll start with the basic thing, that is I will start with planning price variance. Planning price variance is what I'm going to start with. Now, what is the formula? It's O versus R. What is the formula, guys? Tell me. It's O versus R, right? And and I also need the actual quantity as well. Okay, I actually need the actual quantity as well. So because for my calculation purpose, I do need to find out the actual quantity. So for that, I'll just go to the question and see what is available here. So in the question, I have the meters 54560. So I'll just highlight this. Okay, let's just highlight this. These are the meters given to me. Right. Perfect. Okay. So 54560 are the actual meters. Let's begin. First of all, planning price variance is what I need to work out. So what is this? Is it O versus R? You all remember? Yes. So let's use this. Is equals to O versus R, right? O minus R. Okay. Understood? Into the quantity. I'm writing the quantity here. I just missed out that. 54560. Wow. And I'll tell you a magic of my formulas as well. Okay, listen. So let me show you again what I did. O here versus R into the actual quantity. Perfect. Perfect. Now listen, if the formula, if you follow my technique, first you show original and then you show revise. And if you get positive answer, for sure it's a favorable answer. Mathematically, if it is if it is positive, it's favorable. Undoubtedly, it's favorable. If mathematically it's positive, it's favorable. Just remember my quick tip here. Okay, so this is a favorable variance. Okay, now if you want to understand, that's a rectification, that's favorable. If positive, that's favorable. But if you want to understand this conceptually, why? So I can explain you very simple. See, original rate is 3. and the revised is 2.5. Now, which rate you believe more? Which rate is more realistic for you? A common sense thing. Obviously, you'll say the more realistic one is the revised one, okay? Because in original there is a planning error. So the realistic one is the revised one, which means you will build your confidence will be more on the revised one. Yes or no? Because it's realistic. So if you see here, your standard is going down. Your cost is going down. From 3, it is going to 2.5. Now, any reduction in the cost, any reduction in your standard means any reduction in your cost. If your standard goes down, your cost is going down. So any reduction in the cost for a business, it's favorable. Your standard for cost is going down. It's reducing. So this means the profit will increase, and that's favorable. Okay. So, sir, how do we remember? Can you tell us how do we remember? So it's very simple. Listen. For planning variances relating to cost, if your cost is going down by looking at the revised standard, okay, if your cost is going down, so it's good. If your cost is going up, revised cost is going up, it's adverse. If your revised cost is going down, it's favorable. If your revised cost is going up, that's adverse. Simple. Okay. So conceptually is clear, and mathematically, without any thinking, if positive, it's favorable using my formulas. Done. Operational price. Do we need to work out operational price here? Yes or no? So, yes, we need to work out the operational price variance. And let's see, will there be any answer here? So, let's see. The operational price, what is price? What is the, what you say, operational variance? It's A versus R, right? So, revised 2.85. Okay. A versus R. What is actual? What is actual? Wow, that's strange. Do you have any actual one? No. See, it says at this price, which means whatever is your revised price, you bought at the same price. At this price is making it clear that this is the same price you bought for. So this means your revised is 2.85 and your actual is also 2.85. Also 2.85 multiplied by the quantity results in 0. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Hope this is clear to all of you. No issues. So your actual and revised price is same. Okay. Moving forward towards planning usage. Are you all with me, friends? Say yes or no. Now moving towards planning usage. Understanding the way I'm doing the calculation and showing you the presentation. Okay. Again, planning usage. So what is the formula? O versus R is equals to original standard. Original standard for usage is how much? It's 2, right? Okay, let me first write the rate here. Okay, the rate is, yeah. So the original rate is 3 that we will be using here. Okay, into, okay, now the original standard 2, agreed, everyone? Multiplied by, we need to work out original standard quantity allowed. Original standard quantity allowed. For that, I need to multiply this with actual number of units. I'm sure you know why actual, because you need original standard quantity allowed. Original standard quantity allowed, you work out using actual units, okay? So 24,000 units. Yes. Right? Done? Okay. Minus revised quantity allowed. So revised quantity 2.2 into 24,000. Close the bracket. Are we all good to see and clear all these things, guys? Say yes or no. So it's the original standard into actual units for original quantity allowed. And this is revised standard into actual units for revised quantity allowed. It's O versus R. Multiply by the rate. And the answer you are getting here, I just need to use one more bracket because first I need to deduct these two and then I need to multiply. So the answer is 14,400. See, a small mistake in brackets can change your answers. This is what you have to learn. If I just remove this bracket, obviously the BODMAS rule will not follow here. Okay. So I first want to solve the inner brackets, then this second bracket, and then want to multiply with this. Okay. So because of small mistake in the brackets, your answer will change. Anyways, it's a negative answer. If my answer is negative, so it's adverse without any thought. Without any thought, it's adverse. Understanding? O versus R. I haven't seen the formulas, though I have the formulas here, but I haven't seen the formulas. You just saw here original standard quantity allowed minus revised quantity allowed. Okay? Done. Now, listen, what I'm going to do here, I'll do a quick magic here to save your time. Do you want to understand the quick magic here? Yes, you want to. I'm sure you want to. You want to? Yes, you want to. So what is the magic? I'll just copy this and we'll paste here. Okay. I'll just copy this and we'll paste here. Obviously, I'll change the rate and we'll just give the reference of this cell 3. Okay. So once I'll do the copy paste stuff. Okay. One thing I'll just use this entire thing. I will give the reference here. So, okay, if I would have inputted the figures, then copy paste would have worked well for me. If I have inputted the figures, then copy paste would have worked well for me. If by hand you input, then you can copy paste and make the relevant changes. That's okay. But if you are not copy paste, if you have not inputted by the hand and have given the reference of the figures that have shown above, so in that case, you don't copy. I just first thought that I've inputted the figure, so I haven't done that. If I would have inputted by myself, then copy paste means I would get the same answer and would just have to make the relevant changes. Okay, so this is also one method. Anyways, in this case, obviously, because I've linked things together, so I will again show the links. So what's the link? 3 multiplied by double bracket I have to open. R versus A, right? Revised into 24,000. Okay. Minus what I need to minus here? I need to minus the actual. So do I have the actual quantity available? What's that? 54,560. Close the bracket here and the other bracket as well, so that you then multiply. So I hope this is clear to all of you without any problem. Yes or no? Yes, guys, this is clear to all of you, yes or no? So if you see here, the answer that I'm getting in this case is 5280. I don't want any decimals here. Go to custom and we'll, okay, that's okay. So it's 5280. Got it, guys? Let me show you the workings again. The original rate into revised quantity allowed, right, minus actual. So it's R versus A, and you have the answer. If my answer is negative, it's adverse. It's adverse. Okay? Getting the point? Okay. Operational price, you want me to re-show you? It's very simple. Uh, Revised rate minus actual. Now, actual is also the same because the question has stated that we bought at the same price. So that's why I just linked with the same rate here. So it's actual and revised same into the actual quantity. So that's it. Okay. Saad, I hope this is clear. Guys, now let me give you a quick logical explanation before I move ahead. Listen, negative answer, it's adverse. But logically, why it is negative? So let me tell you. See, your original quantity is 2 and revised is 2.2. The increase in quantity in terms of standard. Now, which standard do you believe more? Revised, obviously. So your revised standard of cost is going up. Your quantity is going up, which means your revised standard of cost is going up. And if this goes up, cost will increase, and that's adverse for the business. Okay. So for planning, I did explain to you earlier. For planning, if your standard goes up, for planning, if your cost standard goes up, it's adverse. Okay. Now for this one, it's obvious. Uh, in operational, it's the normal thinking that you have to keep in your mind, and that is your quantity allowed was more than what you used in actual. So that is why this is adverse. So that's quite simple in this one. I think no issue as far as this is concerned. So this is the normal thinking. You have used more quantity compared to what was allowed to you. So that's adverse. More quantity used than the allowed is adverse in operational case. Actual price 2.85. We never calculated that. Question has stated here, in February, the total amount of material used and purchased at this price was this much. So the word at this price is giving me the idea that whatever was the revised price is the actual price. Okay, so we never worked out 2.85. Okay, Asna and Zubair? So guys, do you like this technique of mine? Did you like this technique of mine? Come on, tell me. Yes or no? What's your response? O versus R, R versus A. Is O versus R and R versus A working for you? Hello? You there, everyone? Easy? So this is what you have to keep in your mind when it comes to planning and operational variance. O versus R, R versus A. Okay. Having said that, the similar thing applies for the planning of labor as well. Now listen. For labor, it's the same thing. O versus R, R versus A for labor rate. So it's original standard rate, revised standard rate into actual hours. R versus A, revised standard hours, revised standard rate, actual rate into actual hours. Simple. For labor efficiency as well, it's the same thing. Original standard hours allowed minus revised standard hours allowed into the rate. For operational as well, revised standard hours allowed into actual hours. So again, it's O versus R, R versus A. Again, O versus R, R versus A. Okay? Easy? Same Same thing, same thing. Now, if this is same, so in the requirement, what are you supposed to work out? You have to work out labor efficiency variance in as much detail as the information allows. So it is very much clear by looking at the question that the revision in the standard is in the hours and not the rate. Rate is same. Rate is same. So the revision is in the hours, right? Which means efficiency variance will be affected here. Efficiency relates to hours, right? Rate variance will not be affected here because there is no rate variance. The question has stated themselves. See, no rate variance. No rate variance. Okay. So efficiency is what you need to work out because the hours are different compared to original and revised. You are supposed to work out the efficiency variance planning efficiency and operational efficiency. Okay. So planning is O versus R. Operational is R versus A. Now, I'm giving you a break, but in this break, you will take a break, obviously. But along with the break, you will also do me a quick favor that you will work out planning efficiency and operational efficiency as well. Okay. So I'm giving you a 10-minute break rather than 5. So 5 minutes you take a break and 5 minutes you solve planning and operational efficiency. Will you do this? Say yes or no. Ready? We don't need to work out total until unless it is mentioned in the question. Okay. So should we start the break now? Yes. So let's start. You work out this as well. After the break, don't go. After the break, it's a magical thing, theory. And I'll make theory a piece of a cake for you. So don't leave. Be with me. See you after the break. Okay. So are we ready, everyone? Welcome back after the break. Come on, be energetic, everyone. I want people to be really active. We are approaching theory. The next thing is theory after this calculation. So let's quickly first work out using O versus R and R versus A. Right? Now, the first thing is very important. I'll just go back to my area of work where I have operational efficiencies, what I need to work out. And as for material, I'll also write things for labor. So the original and the revised. And for this, there was never required to do any calculation because it said 8 minutes. So I'll just divide 8 divided by 60 to convert this into hours. Okay. So this is 8 divided by 60. And this is 10 divided by 60. Okay. So these were the hours and the rate per hour remains same at 12 and 12, right? Done. Okay. Don't be worried about this one. Okay. That's the decimal thing that's bothering right now. Okay. That's fine. Now I need to work out this. So I need actual hours same as actual quantity. So if I just find the actual hours, so the actual hours are how much? Actual hours. Oh, I can't find actual hours. Yeah, I do have. Yeah, where it is 160 hours per month. Okay. And this is for the month of February, right? So that's fine per month. But that's for one labor because it says each of whom works, each, which means there are 24 people there in your organization. So if I need to work out for 24. So the actual hours here will be 24 into 160. Okay. That is 386, 3840. You know, these are easy marks. You will be given marks for that. You will be given marks for that. That's the easy marks. Okay. So you are given marks for that. So it's 3840, the actual hours that you can see in front of you people. Now, after doing this, actual hours we have worked out. So let's do the workings. Uh, I'll start with operational first. It's up to me. Okay. So operational efficiency. So first of all, I need the rate, and the rate is 12. It's the same rate. Okay. Multiplied by open the bracket number one, and the bracket is revise R versus A. So it's operational first. Okay. So operational this is, which means revised. See, multiplied by the units. Units are how much? 24,000. The actual units. Okay. 24,000. Right. Done. Minus what? The actual hours. So do we know the actual hours, friends? Yeah, we do know the actual hours. And those are 3840. So let's create a link of that as well. Linking is something that examiner loves a lot. Done? Okay. So we will be getting the operational answer here. And let's see what the answer is. It's 1920. The answer is 1920. Okay. The answer is 1920. And if my answer is positive, mathematically, though, it's favorable. It's a favorable answer. And this is just because you have used less hours than the revised one. You have used less hours than the allowed one because you believe on revised, right? So you have used less hours than the revised one. That's favorable logically and mathematically. Now coming towards planning is equals to, let's go to the rate. That's 12. Open the bracket number one. It's original versus revised. Okay. So the original is how much? This is original into 24,000, close the first bracket, minus sign, open the other bracket, and now you need revised into 24,000, close this bracket and the other bracket as well. Right? Clear, everyone? Getting the point? Can you see the workings? Totally linked with the numbers. This is what examiner wants. $9,600. If my answer is negative, this means that you have to keep this in your mind that this is adverse. This is adverse. Why? Logically, if you see here, original hours were less, revised are more, which means if original hours are less and revised, obviously you rely on revise more. Revise is more realistic, which means if revise is more, so your hours are going up, your cost will go up, and that's bad for the business profits. So in planning, we do consider the revise. We believe on revise, and if revise in terms of cost increases, that's adverse. Done. Hope this is clear to all of you. There were easy marks available. So let me quickly tell you the easy marks only here. The easy marks were available in this question. You work out the standard price, right? 1 mark for the price. This two, the two that you worked out, 1 mark for that. This was the easy mark. The quantity that you worked out, this two quantity, sorry, the rate is the price is 3. Okay, so 1 mark for this 3 calculation and 0.5 mark for this quantity calculation. 1.5 were the easy marks, the rest was of all the variances that you worked out. So this was for 7 marks. So the remaining 5.5 marks you will get for these two workings. In fact, these workings that you have done here for planning and operational one. Okay. But the easy marks were by just working out the rate and the price, you got 1.5 marks. The rest 5.5 were the variances. For the second part, if you want to know the easy marks for second part, this actual hours had a weightage of 1 mark out of 5. This was the 5 mark part, right? So you worked out actual hours, you get 1 mark for that. Easy marks. Then the remaining 4 marks for the variance calculation. So this is showing you that there are easy marks available if you try to search it. Okay? Done? Perfect. Now coming towards the big point. 24,000 is what? 24,000 is the units, man. Units. See? Units. 24,000. We don't have to write the formula. Okay? We don't have to write the formula. For labor rate variance, we take paid hours. But in this case, there was no idle time, so paid and worked are same. Easy marks in theory, I'll just tell you right now once I move on. Zainab, okay? We never use budgeted units because it's all flexing that we do in variances. So, which means always we take actual units in variances. Okay? Honey, Goyal, I hope this is clear. Okay. Do you want me to show the planning and operational variance again? So here you are. Okay. Idle time is not there, but if there is idle time, so obviously we work out idle time variance. Okay, my friends. How do I know what units to take? Actually, it's always actual that you take because of the flexing that you do. Okay. So remember, you have to take actual. Yeah, due to like with like comparison, exactly. Obed is right. Due to like with like comparison, we use actual units. So what we do is we see what is the cost based on actual units and what should be the cost based on actual units. Okay. Yeah, you will apply to all questions. Uh, Joshi, this is clear. Farwa, right now I cannot give a quick example of idle time, but I will just tell you very simple that you made the payment of more hours than the worked hours because those idle time basically is a cost to the company. So you pay the labor for that due to shortage of material or power failure, something like that. Isha Naveed, yes, we have to take original standard rate for the calculation purpose. Actual hours of labor, how to calculate? It's very simple in this question, 3840. If you see here, the question stated that 160 hours of labor per month is required by the each staff, and there are 24 people here. You can see 24 here. So 24 multiplied by 160, right? Yeah, it is possible, but I don't think that situation will come in your paper. You don't need to calculate Ikta Gupta, you don't need to calculate total ones. Until unless the question states to work out the total variances, you don't need to calculate the total ones. Okay, clear? Okay, that's great. I've took answered a lot of questions here. Now, O versus R versus A, have, I'm sure will make your life easier here. Now, how to handle theory is what I'm telling you. So be with me. I'll make your theory really easy. Uh, the only thing I need to tell you, maybe I might not get the time at the end. For planning and operational sales, things would reverse because if cost goes up, that's adverse, and if sales goes up, that's favorable. Likewise, if cost goes down, that's favorable, but if sales goes down, that's adverse. So it's opposite. So the rules will just change for sales here. So the rules will be planning will be R versus O now. Planning will be R versus O now, and operation will be A versus R. Okay, planning will be R versus O, and operational will be A versus R. So you do expect that change, okay, just because of the inverse situation. So for cost, it's O versus R and R versus A. For sales, it's R versus O and A versus R. So just change the position. That's it. Otherwise, things will remain same. Concepts will remain same. If you're getting mathematically positive answer here, it's favorable. If you're getting negative answer, it's adverse, right? But just change the rule for sales. Okay. Now, theory. Let's make our theory easier. And this technique is not only applicable for planning operational, but for entire variance topic. Let it be, let it be your what do you say? Let it be your uh, mix and yield, the next topic that we'll cover today, or sales based quantity. It's Rizwan Mania's special minute order technique. I'm sure you will love this technique. So be with me. The first is calculate the variance that we have done. Second is reason. Think about the reason Okay, now when I say think about the reason, so I'll make it very much clear that uh, there are planning variances also and there are operational variances also, right? The planning variances are 99% of the times the reason for planning variance is given in the scenario. Okay, it's given in the scenario. 99% of the times the reason for planning is given in the scenario. Perfect. Okay. So what do we mean by think and select? It means that for operational variances, the variances that you have covered in your F2, like material price, usage, labor rate, efficiency. And I'm sure in F2 you never had any idea about planning and operations. So there was no planning variance in your F2 paper, right? So the only thing that was there were operational variances only. So those basic reasons that you cover through your books or your notes for the operational ones, that you have to keep in your mind. Okay, just keep those in your mind in the exam so that you can relate those with the scenario. So think means think of those basic reasons for variances like inflation, like good quality material, okay, and then select from those considering the scenario, because it's very important. It should be scenario based. It should be scenario based. So I'll make this again clear. Planning reasons most of the time are given in the case study, so no issue for that. For operational variance, there are basic reasons that you have covered earlier, like inflation, good quality material, and things like that, training given to the laborers, things like that. Do keep those in your mind and just select from the scenario. Just see which of those are related to the case study and then select. Because case study base is important. So that's why it says think and select. Interdependence, I'm sure you know what is interdependence. One variance is favorable, making other adverse. Like, for example, you bought low quality material which was of cheaper price. Poor quality was of cheaper price. So price was low, which means price variance will be favorable, but because it was of low quality, more wastage is expected, making usage adverse. Interdependence. Okay. One reason making one variance favorable, other adverse. So whenever you need to find this, it's very simple. You need to know what is interdependence, that buying a cheaper quality material resulted in favorable price variance but adverse usage variance. Conclusion is important for question like this in variances. For variances, conclusions are important. Whenever you are assessing the performance, conclusions are important because it has a weightage of 1 mark or so. 1 mark or so is given for that. Okay. So easy marks, I'll tell you how to grip. Let's begin. Now, I'm just doing a rough planning here. I'm doing a rough planning here and then we'll tell you how to draft it. So the rough planning is what? Very simple. Correct is what I have to follow. Okay. So what is my rough planning? First, the variances, right? I'll tell you what to do. Listen, carefully listen. Then I'll show you the drafting of that on the word processing as well. The planning stuff is you worked out the material variance, okay? Material price and material usage, okay? So what you did, you further broke down those into two parts. Planning, usage, oh, not usage, operational. Planning, operational, okay? For labor, there was just efficiency variance of labor. So you just broke down that into two parts of planning and operation. I'm making your life easier. The first step is to calculate. Okay. So quickly, if I can write the numbers here. So let me see the numbers. What I've worked out from the previous part. So planning variance is 8184 favorable with no operational here. And this was planning is 14,400 adverse. Okay. With 5280 adverse. Right. For labor, I worked out and the figures were 9,600 adverse and 1920 favorable. Right? Okay. Now listen. First, we calculate the variance, and this is what I've done. This is what I've done. It's always good for theory that you sum these to make it look much better. So if I sum these two, so this will be 7680 adverse labor efficiency variance. Okay. Okay. And same if I do work out the sum of these two as well. So the sum of these two is 19. Both are adverse. So it's let me check here. It's 19680 adverse. Okay. And this is 8184 favorable. Right? Because you worked out in as much detail as it was possible. Right? Okay. Now can I further bifurcate planning and usage as well? Because this 8184 is planning and this 19680 is usage, right? So if I just add these two together, so my material usage would be 11,496 adverse. Okay, understood? So it always look good if you can just merge as much as possible for your theory purpose, because the way you explain then things will be much more clear. So do you understand what I did here, everyone? Say yes or no. It was just simple summing I was doing here. Say yes or no. Yes, this is clear to you. Now, okay, I just netted off the figures only, netted off the figures. Okay. Now, I'm just telling you why I'm doing. For my explanation purpose, I'm just doing this. Clear? Understood? Perfect. So, how will I start my explanation? So the first thing is clear, which is very much obvious, that if I assess the performance of the production manager on this figure, would that be valid? Yes or no? No. If I assess the performance on this figure, so it's adverse. And if this is adverse, so we'll say the performance of the manager is not good. Okay. If I assess the performance of the manager on this figure, adverse, so I'll say the performance is not good. Right? The performance is not good. Okay. So now you tell me what we must do. What we must do. So listen, the easiest way is, once you have worked out the variances, you write a heading of material because first it's the material paragraph, then the labor paragraph. Okay. So let me do one thing. Let me tell you the structure of the answer as well using a word processing sheet. Let's assume this is the word processing sheet you have. Okay. First, what you'll do, you will put a material heading. Okay. You will put a material heading, and the heading will be material variances. Right? The heading will be material variances. Okay. Now, first of all, if I start with the planning variance first, so you tell me the reasons now. Let's find the reasons. Let's find the reasons. Why this planning was favorable? Why planning price was favorable? Is it obvious why it was? Okay. Is it obvious why it was? Let's find here in the scenario. The scenario gives the idea. Why it was favorable? Because of cheaper material that was selected? Yes or no? I can change the color here to make it more easy. Okay. Now see, because of the cheaper material that the private school chose, your price variance became favorable. Understood? Perfect. First, look at the variance of planning. Okay, listen. First, look at the variance of planning, and then we'll come to operational for reasons. Now, for planning, the reason is cheaper material was selected by the by whom? By the school. Okay, perfect. Coming towards the second planning variance. First, target the planning variances. So coming toward the second planning variance, why this planning is adverse? Material usage planning is adverse because uh, change in the design. Because of change in the design. So because of new design. Okay, because of new design. Listen, this is the planning I'm doing. Then done with the material planning ones. Yes, done with material planning ones. Now coming towards the labor planning. The labor planning. Now, why labor efficiency was adverse? Because it took more minutes because of the new dress. New dress, right? New dress. Okay. So when you will start drafting the answer, what will be your first line? Your first line will be the overall variances for both, listen everyone, material and labor are adverse. I'll draft here for you people, okay? Are adverse, which means performance not good. Easy? I'm talking about these ones. Even if you don't show the numbers, that's fine. You know that overall material and labor is adverse. Performance not good. But listen, you know that these variances includes the impact of. Okay, you want me to write in the sheet? That's fine. I can write in the sheet as well. I'll write in the sheet as well. I'll totally draft the answer for you. Okay, now listen what I'm doing. Try to understand the things. First, the first paragraph that you'll write here will be about overall material and labor variances are adverse, which means performance not good. Okay, the first line would be this one, but you will write here one more thing. And what's that? I'm using bullets, but you have to write in a paragraph form. Okay, the second thing you'll write, but this includes the impact of what? Planning variances, right? Which means you cannot assess the performance correctly. So a starting that I did was on the basis of the total numbers that I had here, this one. Okay. Now you know to assess the real performance, we need to split these into planning and operational. So for proper assessment, we will break into planning and operational. Got it, everyone? This is what you have written here. Done? Okay, perfect. Now, once you have said that, first, listen, first cover planning variances. So you can write the heading, a sub-heading here, planning variances. Just the one I'm writing here, planning variances. Make it bold. You can write this. And now one by one, come to the planning variances first. Okay. One by one. So first, material price planning was how much? Was 8184 adverse. 8184. No, 8184 favorable. Okay. What is the reason? Just mention the reason. First, the reason. Reasons are given in the scenario. So the reason is what? Come on, write it down quickly. Be with me. Reason is cheaper material. Customer selected that. Customer selected. Okay, done. Second, material usage planning. First, cover the planning ones. Remember my strategy. First, cover the planning ones. The flow will be so good. So, planning usage 14,400 adverse. Okay, why? Because new design. Was this given the scenario? Yes, so simple. New design. Then third, labor efficiency planning. It's 9,600 adverse. Why? Because of new design. Perfect. Now, listen. Can you assess the performance on these figures? No, you cannot. You know this. You cannot. For that, you need to split into planning and operational. So, first, what you did? First, you will tell the reason for planning ones. Like this. Done? Do you want easy marks? After this, what you'll write? You know, you will write these all are above, sorry, these all are uncontrollable for production manager. You know how many marks you will get for this? 1 mark for writing only this. Easy marks. 1 mark for writing that these all are not in the control of the production manager. Understood? Done. So first calculate the variance, done. Then tell the reasons. For reasons, first what you do? First the planning ones. Here are the planning ones. Now come towards the operational ones. Operational ones. Operational variances. Let's make this unbold here. Okay, operational one. Now let's see operational. The first one is we don't have this one. Now this operational usage. Please be with me. This will be very simple. Operational usage. Now, why operational usage is adverse? Why operational usage is adverse? Come on, tell me. Do you have any reasons? Operational usage is adverse. This means you used more material than what was allowed. So, any reason we have. Now, here it is written that staff training is required before they begin. So, the one obvious reason that can come into my mind is not properly trained staff. That's why more wastage was there. Not properly trained staff. That's why more wastage here. So the reason could be maybe not properly trained. That's why more wastage. Okay, clear? Understood? The operational I'm talking about. For planning, we are not responsible. Now, someone wrote here, material was 10% above the original. My friend, that's the planning that we have already covered here because of the design. See, that's covered. That's covered. Okay. You simply first write the planning variances reasons and tell me this is outside the control. Because of new design, what came is outside the control. Okay. Now, the operational is adverse. This means, yeah, not properly trained. Okay, that's why they took more time. Second one is which one? Operational labor. Favorable. Operational labor is favorable. Now, why is this favorable? So this means that labor did the work more faster, right? Labor did the work more faster. So if they worked more faster, that's why they took less hours to work. That's why it's favorable, right? So faster worked, performed. Faster work performed. This means that they were trained to work faster. But it's so clear now, that because they worked faster, there were more wastage involved. Getting the point? Because they worked faster, so there was more wastage involved, which means they were trained, but not in such a way to avoid the wastage. Getting the point? So there was training done, but not to avoid the wastage. Because they were working faster, more waste was there. Getting the point, everyone? Say yes or no. So that's why I wrote here, may not be properly trained means that more wastage was there. And now it's very much clear, because they worked faster, that's why there were more wastage. Okay, reason is clear? Reason is obvious? Scenario based? Okay, now, is there any interdependence? Now, what is interdependence? What is interdependence? One reason making one favorable and other adverse. So is there any interdependence? So listen, the interdependence will always be between operational variances. I repeat, interdependence, if there is any, will be between operational variances only. So do you see there is interdependence? Yes, there is interdependence. That is faster working, use the word may, okay, may resulted in more wastage, means not properly trained by the manager. Faster working may result in more wastage. Is there interdependence? And you can see, because of faster working, one came favorable and other is adverse. Everyone, okay? So interdependence is there. So what is the key thing to remember? Interdependence will be between operational variances. Noted down. Done? Now, it's time to conclude. So, one more heading you can write if you want to, or you can leave a paragraph. Conclusion. Examiner is giving marks for conclusion separately. You can even use a heading here for conclusion. So, how to conclude? Mark my words. Conclusion will be based on operational variances only. Conclusion will be based on operational variances only. You cannot give conclusion on planning. Why? Because this is not in the control of the operational manager. You already took 1 mark here by writing that this is outside the control. So now conclusion will be on the operational variances. So how to conclude? The best way is to net off operational variances to see the final result. How to net off? Let's do it. Operational usage. Operational usage. Operational usage is 5280, right? Yeah, 5280 adverse. And operational efficiency is 191920 favorable. Just net it off. What's the net off figure? Net off figure 5280 minus 1920. The net off figure is how much? 3360. 3360 adverse. Which means, Mr. Manager, performance is not good. Why? Because you saved 1920 in operational efficiency by ensuring they work faster. But while working faster, they did lots of wastage, and training is not good. Training is not good. So while they were working faster, resulted in lots of wastage. So overall, it's a loss to the company by 3360 adverse. Performance not good. Are you happy the way I structured it? This will be in a paragraph form. This will be in a paragraph form with a heading. This will be in a paragraph form with a heading. Easy marks. For mentioning this, you get 1 easy mark. For mentioning the conclusion, you get 1 easy mark. The rest you are getting for mentioning the reasons here. 1 mark for conclusion, 1 mark for mentioning things are not in their control. The rest for the reasons. Did I make this easy for you? Yes or no? Follow the rule of Crick. First calculate the variance, Then think about the reasons. For reasons, listen, first planning ones. First planning ones. First tell the planning reason and then say this is outside the control of the manager. Then come towards the operational one. Okay? And once you are at the operational, think about interdependence. See what I'm doing. Think about interdependence. If one reason is making one favorable and other adverse, like here, faster working was resulting in efficiency favorable, usage adverse. So there is interdependence. It's not compulsory that interdependence will always be there. And the best hint is one reason is making one favorable and one adverse. So here faster working was the reason for favorable efficiency and adverse usage. One reason making one favorable, other adverse. Okay. Once interdependence done, then conclusion also on the basis of operational. Just remember this roadmap. Like it? Like it? Tell me yes or no. So first calculate, then reasons. In reasons, first planning once. See, I just saw you here everything. Then mention about uncontrollable factor. Then come towards operational. And interdependence will be on the basis of operational. And conclusion will also be on the basis of operational. Remember this. Made it easy, yes or no? Yeah. So we'll conclude on the basis of the things which are under the control of the operational manager. Honey, just because I separated the planning variances on one side, now I don't have to comment on that. Planning is out of my scope. So I just separated here. See, all the plannings are separated here. Now I just mentioned this is outside the control. So I just have to focus on the one that are in the control. We will never find interdependence. Yeah. Saad, you are right. Saad, yes. Just hold on. Let me answer you back, okay? On the basis of operational, you will conclude always. Yes. R means revised. Interdependence is when one reason is making one favorable and other adverse. As you see, fast working made usage adverse but made labor efficiency favorable. So if one reason is making one favorable and other adverse, so there is interdependence. You will not write in points, you will write in form of a paragraph. No. Solomon, no. You don't have to conclude planning because we have to assess the performance of the manager, and manager is responsible for only operational ones. You can follow the same for mix and yield, Zainab, as well. So guys, let's sum up then. The way I have done it, this planning will help you. So I started with the total just because to give an idea that total will not give the right impression. Now listen, one more thing for you. If even you don't make, if even you don't start from this total, that's fine. That is also fine. Let's make it more easier for you. Even if you don't start from this total, it's fine. You just write one thing. If you don't want to work out total, that's fine. You just write one thing. For better assessment, we'll bifurcate the variance into planning and operational. Just mention this only, the first line. not even work out the totals. Okay. And then first tell the reason for planning. Listen, see here. And then write it. This is outside the control, and move to operational. And then tell the reasons for operational. And on the basis of operational, find the interdependence if there is any. And on the basis of operational, conclude. See, see me. First, if you don't want to start with total, that's fine. Just write it down. To assess the performance, we will bifurcate this into planning and operational. Then move towards planning. Tell all the planning variances with the reason given in the scenario and say this is outside the control. Okay? Then move to operational and say these are the reasons for operational, and if there is interdependence, mention there. How to find interdependence? Find out a reason that is making one favorable and other adverse. So there is interdependence. Okay? And then lastly, for conclusion, focus on operational only the way I did here. That's it for theory. So did I make this theory easy using CRIC? Say yes or no. Happy or not? The way I structured the answer, is this clear? Yes or no? Did I make this easier for you? Are you happy with the theory coverage? The reasons should be scenario based mostly, Zainab, okay? Man, you follow me. Isha, what are you asking? If you are here, you follow me. Why would I tell you anything that you have to follow from Kit and not me then? This is I just wrote it for you people here. This is how you write it, you'll get complete marks. Come on, trust me, I'm teaching this paper since 14 years. Okay? Ubaidullah, not really. Okay, done? So remember my words. First planning, then operational, then conclusion. If you don't have to work out the total ones, leave it if not required in the question. Just say one thing. For better assessment, we'll bifurcate into planning and operational. That's it. Then planning, reasons. Operational, reasons. Interdependence, if there is any. And then conclusion on the basis of operational. Because the question required you to conclude on the basis of production manager only. 8 marks done. I even told you the marking scheme here. That 1 mark for conclusion, 1 mark for mentioning these are outside the control. The rest you got for reasons and interdependence. Correct will be used for variances only. Okay, done. Time to move. Happy? Sorted out planning and operational for today in terms of calculation as well as in terms of theory. Told you good techniques for calculation and theory both. Okay? Now, so I hope you like my method of crick here. Let's begin with material mix and yield. Mix and yield. Listen, material usage variance is further bifurcated into mix and yield. When more than one material is used by the company, number 2, and the material is interchangeable. Salar, if they are evil, so Rizwan is with you, right? Didn't I told you a good technique to write the theory? First planning, just do these on one side and the other. So that's it, man. Be happy. Okay. So you will work out material usage, mix and yield when you have more than one material and materials are interchangeable. Let's start with mix and yield now. So I'll take help of a question here. Okay. This question was not very well solved by the students in the exam. That's why I just picked up this question because lots of people ask me queries for this question. And it's a very good question. Let's quickly jump. Romeo is a business which makes and sells fresh pizza from a number of mobile food vans based at several key locations in the city center. It offers a variety of toppings and duck bases for pizzas and has a good reputation for providing a speedy service combined with hot, fresh, and tasty foods to customers. Each van employs a chef who is responsible for making the pizzas to Romeo's recipes and two sales staff who serves the customer. All purchasing is done centrally to enable Romeo to negotiate bulk discounts and build relationship with suppliers. Romeo operates a standard costing and variant system, and standard cost card for Romeo is given to you, where you have 4 ingredients here. Okay. In month 3, and here also it says month 3, right? Romeo produces and sells 90 basic tomato pizzas, and actual results were as follows. So you can see the actual results. Okay. What are we supposed to work out? What is total favorable? So it's favorable for sure. Total, which means for all the ingredients, price variance. Okay. So it's simple price variance that you have to work out. Now, this is a section B question, to be honest. So there is more use of calculators here because there is no spreadsheet available. Normally, you have a scratch pad. Now, just give me this calculator, please. Let me tell you one thing here. Listen, let me tell you one thing here. If your paper is center based, so you are allowed to use rough papers. So that rough paper is something you can work out. Okay. But if your exams are remote CBs, and mostly it's remote CB everywhere these days. So if these are remote CBs, then you will not be allowed to use a rough paper at your home or your office. For that, you have just one option to use Scratchpad. Now, it's a rough Scratchpad. Whatever you need to write, you write it. Whatever you need to write, you write it. The format is not important. The formatting is not important. This will not be marked even if you write something else. Okay. So it's a Scratchpad, rough work. You can think like this is a electronic rough paper for you. Okay. So you can use that. Now I will tell you a good way as well. This is what I believe for remote CBs. If you have remote CBs, no rough paper allowed, then you have one option of Scratchpad. Okay. But I'll tell you a new way as well. So be with me. So let's work out price variance. Don't have to write things. Okay. D material, T material, C material, H material. This is just for your own calculator workings. Even if you don't want to write anything, don't write it, use your calculator directly. That's fine. That's fine as well. So I'll do that as well. For example, the standard price is 7.6 minus 6.5 into the actual 18.9, the actual kgs bought and used. Now, if you don't want to write this, that's fine. Don't write it. Just use a calculator. So I'll do this now for the later ones. 7.6 minus 6.5 into 18.9. Answer is, you also work out with me and tell me the answers. 20.79 favorable. Okay? Come on. Okay, I changed my plan for the break. I think we are not left with much time. So we took a 10-minute break earlier. So I think let's continue, right? Okay. Now, can you tell me the answers, man? Where are you people? Just write the answers. Okay. So 20.79 favorable, the first one. Now for the next one, I will not even write and just write the figure for my ease. That's it. Using calculator. 2.5 minus 2.45 into 6.6. 0.33 favorable. That's it. Next, 20 minus 21 into 14.5. Okay, 14.5 adverse, right? 8.4 minus 8.1 into 2. 0.6 favorable. That's for my ease only. Now let's add all favorable together. 20.79 plus 0.33 plus 0.6 minus 14.5. So the answer I'm getting here is, what answer you are getting? Tell me. 7.22 to 2 decimal places. 7.22. No need to write plus sign, minus sign, because it has mentioned it's favorable. Okay. So scratch pad is just an electronic rough paper. So without any problem, you use it and don't be scared. That's it. Done. Okay. So scratch pad is just for your own ease. You will do workings and just note. You want to note down somewhere, right? The scratch pad is the area where you note down. That's it. Got it? Got it. Move on. Move on. Okay. Now, next is material mix variance for month 3. Right. No, no, no. Abdi Nasir, please. If this would have been adverse, so the examiner would have written above adverse price variance. So no negative sign, please. Just the number. Okay, now listen. Mixed variance. Option 1, what you have. If it's a center base paper, rough paper is there, just write it on the rough paper quickly. Perfect. Option 1, write on the rough paper. Okay. Option 2, if it's a remote CB, use scratch pad like this. The formula and all may take time, may take time. So I have a solution for you. If you want to follow it, that's fine. If you don't follow it, not a compulsory thing. Whatever you're comfortable in, okay? What I would suggest is, but again, it depends how much time you have. You can even use a spreadsheet of section C as well. But for that, you need to note the number somewhere. But this is an option. You can use a spreadsheet. But again, that may work, may not work. But yes, if you want, you can use the spreadsheet. that is available here. But the only challenge I see in using spreadsheet is that numbers you will forget. You can use a spreadsheet like this, and once you're done the calculation, you can just remove it. Okay, you can remove that, just remove it. Okay, but again, the only challenge you may face here is just going back to the question and coming up, and that can waste your time, right? So this is also one option I'm giving you. If you want to, you can do that, but whatever working you do, just remove that later on. Got it, guys? So three options clear, covered here. Which question I am? Oh, where I am? Lost it. It's 2026. See, this is what happened here. Okay. Still, I'm not at the right question. It's, yeah, here. Listen. So this is also one option, but again, this is only applicable if you have time and you can just quickly move here and there. Right? Done? Okay. Now, what I'll do here, because I want to cover this in terms of spreadsheet as well. Listen, let's assume if this comes on a spreadsheet. Let's assume if this comes in section C. So I'm covering that as well to teach you that if this comes on a spreadsheet in section C, how you gonna show the presentations. I think I'm doing a wise thing, covering C along with B. What do you think? Yes or no? Is this a wise thing, covering C along with B? Right? Okay. So now if this comes in C, how quickly you can do this? Just be with me and you will be shocked to see what I'm going to do here. Material mix variance. Formula is actual input in standard mix, actual input in actual mix. Quantity variance, standard rate per input, cost variance. So if it comes in section C, so obviously you don't have any choice to use a spreadsheet. So you will go towards a spreadsheet, and let's assume if this is in section C. So what I would have done? Actual input in standard mix, actual input in actual mix, quantity variance, cost per kg, or whatever it is, I don't know, right? In this case, it could be per liter as well, and cost variance. Okay. Four materials, D, T, C, H. Yeah, I will agree with you here that in section B, if you are not allowed to use the rough papers, it may take more time on a scratch pad. Why I'm not using here? Just because obviously it will take too much time, because I have to write things on a scratch pad. So what I just explained you, yes, you can use scratch pad for rough workings. You don't have to show workings. The point in section B, you don't have to show working. If you remember the working in your mind very good, so you can just use the numbers and work out. Okay? But because here I want to teach you that if it comes in C, how to cover that, so I'm doing that purposefully. So in C, how you going to do it? Be with me. Actual input and actual mix is given to me in the question. Here I have. Okay. 18.9, 6.6, 14.5, 2. Let's sum these together. 42. Actual input in actual mix 42. Okay. Now learn how I'm solving on a spreadsheet if it comes in C. Next, I need to use the same actual input but in standard mix now. For that, these are important. These are important. Okay? And this is the total actual standard mix. Sorry, not actual standard mix, total. So I'll work out the standard mix here. That out of 0.42, how much is D? Okay? So what I'll do, see the formula. 0.20 divided by total 0.42. This is the mix I'm working out. Out of total 0.42 standard, how much is the proportion of D? Multiplied by the actual input. See? So this is the working that I've done is of standard mix. Out of standard 0.42 total, 0.2 is D into the actual input. Done? Now, just copy paste this. Control C, Control V. Everywhere see 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, obviously. So just make the necessary change. Go to the question. Now this is 0.08. Just change the figure 0.08. Wow. Saving the time? 0.12. Just go to the formula and make it 0.12. Wow. Loving this? Go to the formula, make it 0.02. Wow. And just sum these all together. And 42. Why both are 42? Because when you were working out, you did use the actual 42. So it's actual 42 that you have now splitted using standard mix. Okay, done? Now the quantity differences. First column minus the second column. See, I'm making so simple. First column minus the second column. If you get answer positive, it's favorable. Mathematically positive, favorable. Control C, Control V. Whenever you get a positive answer, it's favorable. It's favorable. Whenever you get negative, it's adverse. Mathematically. Here it's nothing. Okay? Done? Good. Then the sum of mix should be 0. If you have done the right calculation, the sum of mix variance should be 0. It's 0. Okay? Don't worry. It's 0. See? Okay. Now the cost, standard cost. 7.6, 2.5, 20, 8.4. Multiply cost with quantities, Control C, Control V, just sum all these together, 38.14. Got it? So if this comes in section C, you are in a good position, especially when it's remote CBs. Otherwise, you have no paper available, means you have to do basic working on Scratchpad. And in that case, don't write each and everything on Scratchpad. Just the key numbers. For that, you need to keep things in your mind. D, first work out this, just write this 20, that's 18.5, the difference. Now, it all depends on your memory at that time and how much relaxed you are. So on a Scratchpad, the less you write, the more time you save. But if you think you're going to do mistake, then it's better to write on a Scratchpad. Okay. Now, if the answer overall is minus, so it's adverse. Mathematically, it's adverse. Understood? Happy? The way I've covered this, I'm covering all the possibilities here. It's adverse, 38.14. Now, very quickly, you know why this is adverse? So it's very simple. For theory purpose, I'm telling you now. You see, the most expensive material is C. So the expensive material has been used more. Obviously, adverse means you have used more quantity. You can here still check from here. More quantity. Okay. So more material you have used, that was expensive one. Whereas the cheaper ones, these ones, the cheaper ones, you have used these less. Less. Cheaper used less, expensive was used more, quantity is more, right? So that's why, because expensive was used more, so more costs incurred. In case of cheaper, you did saved your cost. You did saved your cost, but here you incurred more cost. So the reason for variance is what? Reason for variance is adverse means what? Cheaper material is used less. See, I'm covering everything. And this is a technique to teach. Expensive material is used more. It's adverse. So yes, material C is expensive, you've used more, and that's adverse. If this is favorable, so the situation would be vice versa. And that would be, this will become more, that is cheaper one, and expensive would become vice versa, that is less. So reasons covered. Done? Okay. Clear? Expensive material, you can see here, C is used more. In terms of cost, it's more expensive. That's why the overall answer is adverse. Okay. Perfect. Say yes. Done. Now, the next question. Happy the way I'm covering spreadsheet along with section B and theory? Yes or no? Right. The next question is, you have to work out total yield variance. Total yield variance. Okay. There are different formulas to work out yield variance. And this is for month 4. Okay. So the month has changed now. This is not month 3. This is month 4. This was month 3. So now month has changed. So you can even work out yield individually, like the one I did for what you say, for mix, or you can even work out yield through a total formula. So I would recommend, if you haven't worked out mix variance for the same month earlier, then you use this shortcut method that I'm telling you right now. Okay, so this is a shortcut method. If you're working out yield in isolation, that is, if you're working out yield without mix, because the month has changed here, okay, it's not month 3. So if you're working out yield in isolation for a section A OT or section B OT, like the one you have, isolation, so use this shortcut method. So do you want to know the shortcut method? Yes, you want to know the shortcut method. So let me tell you the shortcut method here. Okay. What's the shortcut method? It's very easy and less time consuming. Okay. So let me tell you. Yield. Shortcut method. Be with me, everyone. What is the shortcut? The shortcut is not price and usage. No, no. The shortcut is standard input. I'm writing it completely. Standard input allowed. Okay. Actual input used. Right? Quantity variance. Standard cost per input kg and cost variance. Okay. Now, let's use this. First of all, actual input used. How much is actual input used in total? It's quite simple. It's quite simple. It's given here 42. 42. Where is 42? Yeah, here is 42. Okay, 42. 42. Simple. Okay. How to work out standard input allowed? Very easy way. Very easy way. Oh, I beg your pardon. I'm sorry. I just used month 3. You're right. Sorry. Small mistake. Yeah. 45. Here it is. Now, this is very much possible in exam. Okay. 45. Now, what is standard input allowed? Very simple. How many actual units you produce and sold? 110. And for 1 unit, how much should be your standard input? For 1 unit, how much should be your standard input? 0.42. Okay. So is equals to 0.42 into 0.42 into 110. Now the answer is 46.6. Okay. The answer is 46.6. Right? Done? So what I've done, quickly check. Standard input per unit into actual units. Into actual units. Okay? Work out the difference. Oh man. So drag it above. Yeah. Work out the difference. This minus this. If the answer is negative, uh, 110 into 0.42. Wrote at the wrong boxes, right? Okay. If answer is negative, it's favorable. If answer is positive, sorry, it's if answer is negative, it's adverse, and if answer is positive, it's favorable. Automatically. Okay. If answer is positive, it's favorable. If answer is negative, it's adverse. So what I did, actual input used from the question here, standard input allowed 110, actual into 0.42. This is the working. Class will end on the respective time. Okay. Done? Okay. Now, it's easy. Now, the only time taking thing here is this working. That takes a bit more time. Rest is all not very much time taking. So what you need to do here? Listen. We will multiply the kg with the price to work out the total. Okay. So let's do it. And let me show you clearly. So it's 0.2 0.08, 0.12, 0.02 kgs standard, and the rate of those are 7.6, 2.5, 20, and 8.4. Okay, I just copy pasted all this. Okay, now see what I have to do. I'll calculate this per unit now, per unit cost. This into the rate, this into the rate, just copy paste and I'll get the figures. Okay, so I have worked out the cost per unit, cost per unit. Done. Now let's add all to calculate the total per unit. Understood everyone? Say yes or no. All with me. Come on. Where are you people? Getting easier. Okay. Now, let's work out the total of this as well. Okay. Okay, let me repeat this. Simple. Kg multiplied by the rate. Okay, Isha? Kg multiplied by the rate. For each, and then add all together. Okay. Now, that's it. Let's work out standard cost per input kg. Per input kg. So, the cost for 1 unit is 4.288. 4.288. And this is for how many kgs of input? 0.42. 0.42. Okay? Clear? This is standard cost per input kg. Done, everyone? I hope this is clear. Now let's multiply, and the answer is 12.25. 12.25. Why I divided this? Because I want per kg cost. See, Saad, this quantity is in kgs. 1.2 is in kgs. So kg should be multiplied by rate per kg, right? So that's why I had to work out per kg and then we'll multiply with the number of kgs. Okay, Saad? Understood everyone? Like the shortcut? Say yes or no. So if yield comes in section A or B and you are working out yield in isolation, which means you are not calculating mix, then this is a good method. This is a good method. Mathematically, it's positive, it's favorable. I just simply multiplied the quantity with the cost per kg to calculate the cost variance. Okay. Okay, Rahul, let me tell you. See the formula. Cost per unit, the total of that divide by total input kgs. If I ask you how to calculate cost per kg, so what is the method? Cost divide by kgs. Yeah, sales mix will work out in a similar way. For even CRQ, Furkan, you can use this method. But for CRQ, if you have to work out mix and yield, so first you work out mix and then you can work out yield using that individual method as well. Okay. Betrays for the long method, I'll share a video link in the $1 Million Plan. So you can watch that video that will cover yield long method. No shortcut for mix, because always we take standard cost per kg, because we have to represent this in terms of cost. The variance is represented in terms of cost, right? And that's why we take the standard cost. This is also we did in mix as well. Rahul, this 10 something is standard cost per input kg. If I say work out cost per unit, so what is the formula? Cost divided by number of cost divided by the units, right? If I ask you calculate cost per kg, so what's the formula? Cost divided by kgs. So this is the cost per unit and these are the kgs per unit. So I'll divide cost with kg, so I'll get cost per kg. Okay, great, thank you. Done. So it's 12.21. There is a difference because of the decimal here coming up, because I didn't round it off to do 2 decimals here. The question required me to work to 2 decimal places. Okay, so I did working on the total decimals. That's why I'm getting a small difference. That's 12.21. Okay, done. Perfect. Now, yield done. Everyone say yes or no. Got it? The yield method. Now the 2 last theory questions. Okay, quickly tell me. In month 5, Romeo reported a favorable material mix variance for the basic tomato pizza. Favorable mix variance. Which of the following statement would explain why this variance has occurred? So which statement is explaining this? Let's read. The proportion of relatively expensive ingredient used in production was less than the standard. The prices paid for ingredient used in the mix were lower than the standard price. Please tell me answer, everyone. Each pizza used less of all ingredients in actual production than expected. More pizza were produced than expected given the level of ingredients input. Okay. Now try to understand. Favorable material mix is favorable when it is favorable. I told you. When it is favorable. When cheaper material is used more and expensive material is used less. Okay. So now see what it says. Proportion of relatively expensive ingredient is used less. And this is the answer. Because cheaper material has been used more and expensive has been used less. So if you use expensive less, yeah, you can see here expensive less. So it's favorable. Easy? So easy. So easy. So if expensive is used less, it's favorable. So this is the answer. Okay? Expensive used less, cheaper used more will result in favorable material mix. Why others are not the answer? You should know why others are not the answer. That is what conceptual understanding is. So see, prices paid for ingredient used in mix were lower than standard. So listen, in mix variance, we use only standard prices. Even if we paid actual prices lower, that will not be considered because mix variance and yield variance are worked out using standard prices. Okay, so this is not the answer. Third, each pizza used was less of all ingredients in actual production than expected. The usage of the ingredients basically is yield variance, not mix. So again, not an answer. Next, More pizzas were produced than expected. Again, yield variance. The usage, more used, less used, then the standard is yield. Getting the point? Okay, for the third statement, for the fourth, it's yield variance. Okay, for the third statement, it says each pizza used less of all ingredients. So obviously, uh, again, I would say that for mixed variance, the actual input is same. Is the difference of mix only that has to be considered. So that's why this was the best one, because it said relatively expensive ingredient is used less than the cheaper one. So again, it's a mixed difference. So that's the answer. Understood? Why A is the answer? Yes or no? Perfect. Last one. Let me see who will answer this. This is a very good OT. In month 6, 100 basic tomato pizzas were made. 100 using a total of 42 kgs of ingredients. Okay, 100 were made using 42 kgs. A new chef at Romeo used the expected amount of D and H. Okay, but use less cheese and more tomato sauce per pizza than standard. Okay, D and C proportions were okay. Okay, but he deviated between the cheese and the tomato sauce proportions. Right? It was noticed that sales of the basic tomato pizza had declined, sales went down in the second half of the month. So the proportion of D and H remained the same, but the proportion of cheese and tomato sauce was changed. Less cheese compensated by more tomato sauce. Interchangeable. This is interchangeability. One ingredient is used less and other is used more. Okay? It was noticed, that's fine. Now, which, based on the above information, which two of the following statements are correct? Which two of the following statements are correct? So now you need to give answer for the two. Okay, I'll get back to you on this. Okay. Now this one last question is a homework, and let me see how many right answers I'm getting here. So in the WhatsApp group, I will tell you the right answer. In the WhatsApp group, I will reveal the right answer. But for that, you really need to give me the answers, okay? Will you guys? Yes, great. So I'll be waiting for your answer in the WhatsApp group. Make sure you give me the answer. And I'll reveal the final answer in the WhatsApp. This is a very good question. It says which two of the following statements are correct, okay? Two. Done. So we'll be waiting for your answers. And this is the end for day 2 of this webinar. The $1 million plan for this will be shared in the WhatsApp group. If you are not part of the group, just send me a quick WhatsApp message right now on this number, the below number. Okay? Okay. Now, how was the today's session, guys? Overall, how was the today's session in terms of techniques, theory coverage, new learnings? Was it different? Did you learn new Tips and tricks. Yes, guys. How was the today's session? Need your feedbacks. Okay, let me answer a few questions. Operating statement is not relevant here, so don't worry. Okay, if two are the correct answers, if two are the correct answers, okay, if two are the correct answers and you just chose one in an OT, so you will not get marks for the right one. You will not get the marks for the right one. Total 2 marks or no marks. Yes, idle time may be tested in the paper. Okay. Okay, great. Now it depends how many questions, but it depends on your own confidence, I would say. There's not no general fast rule. There's no hard and fast rule for that. But maybe two questions at least for one topic. Yes, physical calculator is allowed. Arij Khan, mix has nothing to do with losses. Okay, mix has nothing to do with losses. So don't worry. For yield with losses, if you use input method, the one I did here today, the input method, so you don't have to take into account the losses in that case. If both are favorable operational variances, Hasib, then no, there will be no interdependence. Okay. If they have allowed you to use the rough paper in remote CBs, that's fantastic. Okay. As per my knowledge, till last time it was not allowed. So let me check and will confirm you by tomorrow. But if this is allowed in remote, that's fantastic. If you use Rahul input method, so input means before the loss. So no need to consider losses in that case. For F4, that's a separate story. Okay, but I don't think for F5 onward this is allowed. Yeah. Okay. Any videos on sales variances? I will share the $1 million plan, so through that you will get to know. Okay. I've mentioned my WhatsApp number here. You can see the WhatsApp number here. Today's session was really good. If you just watch it carefully again, it will give you new techniques to handle variances, especially when it comes to theory and spreadsheet usage. Okay. So I hope that today's session will make you more and more confident, and you will be ready for the paper. Do share ACCA Pakistan the feedback after the session, about how the session was, and be active on my WhatsApp group. Don't leave the group, be part of the group. Okay. Tomorrow's performance measurement, very, very important topic. Performance measurement is key for your examination. Do make sure you attend performance measurement. Okay. New topics I'll cover last day, day 5. Okay, Sayyid Wajad. So, guys, thank you very much for today's session. Hope it will work for you well. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.